Hit the record button, and then we're going to go ahead and start. Well, good morning, guys and gals. So I got the request this week to work on our feet and to work on our core. The idea being that, a lot of us are experiencing a lot of low back pain, and that, if we have some type of stability within the core, that will help us with any of the tightness and stuckness and sort of weakness that we might be experiencing pain in our low back. And it's very interesting because I started drafting ideas for this class and I wrote down, we're going to do this core pose and this core pose and this core pose. And I wrote down this list of like maybe 15 poses. I was like, yes, we're going to do all this. And then I took a class with my teacher yesterday. And it was very interesting to me how we didn't do any type of core. And I felt so much more stable in my being. And what I came to understand, because he doesn't talk about anything, but what I came to understand is that what I think is happening in a lot of us is that we're crunching down. We're not lifting up, we're not rising up. As Erica had talked about at the very beginning of this call, we are coming up on an anniversary for many of us that has good things and bad things, but there's a lot of stuff that's associated with it. And as a result, we've sort of crunched in. And so in order to alleviate whatever discomfort we might be experiencing, we're going to work on really lengthening up through the spine to find extension through the vertebra. So every vertebra has as much space as it needs. And so that we don't feel this compression, this tightness, this stuckness occurring in our low back. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and start by saying hello to our happy feet. And this was one of our first requests of, really getting grounded. So we'll start with our left foot, and you can just cross your left foot over your right thigh, spread wide through your right hand, and then web your fingers through your toes. You can take the left hand and then just massage the sole of the foot, pressing wherever it feels like it might be good. You can also choose to wring out the foot. So your right hand will go one direction and the left hand will go the other. You might find that the left thumb then wants to rub on the outside edge of your left foot. And then you might even find that from here, you can start to create some circles with the right hand to find circles in the left foot. And then you'll reverse that and maybe go the other way. And you can notice here that you can clench the toes around the fingers really, really tightly, like you're holding on for dear life. Go reverse the other direction, or you can spread wide through the toes. And neither is better, neither is worse. You're just noticing what both of them do. We have a time and a place for everything. And then once you're done with that, you just spread your toes wide, give your feet a happy little rub with both hands, and then bring your right hand to the heel of your left foot. And you're just going to shake it a little front and back as though you're trying to take your heel off your ankle. Don't worry, it won't go, but you're just creating space. And then you'll go up and down with that heel, again, trying to create some space in the heel, in the calcaneus and the Achilles. And then when you're ready, you just send your left foot forward and look at your left foot in comparison to your right. And notice if one looks like it's a little bit more flush or vibrant or lively. And then we'll try that on the other side. So right foot crosses over left thigh, spread wide through your left hand, and then weave those fingers through your toes. And then you've got that right hand to massage into your right foot. And you can press wherever the heck feels good to you. You might wring out that foot a little bit right to left, and notice that this foot is its own unique entity and it might need or want something different. You might start to create some circles with the left hand rolling the right foot around. And you can notice that as you go both ways here, you can isolate this. So this can happen just at the ball of the foot, or it can happen at the ankle joint. It's totally up to you. And then notice what happens if you clench around the left hand or spread wide through the fingers. And it's totally up to you. And then again, you'll release and give both hands the ability to massage your right foot. And then take the left hand to your right heel and just go front and back like you're literally trying to take your heel off. And then you can go up and down, again, trying to take that heel off. Cool. And you'll extend your right leg forward and see if both of your feet now have the same amount of coloration to them. Awesome sauce. And then go ahead and lie down on your backs. And once you find yourself on your back, please make sure you have enough room up and over your head to extend your arms up and over your head without hitting anything, as well as the ability to open your arms out to the right and to the left without hitting anything. And then once you find yourself on your back, just draw your legs straight and then draw your legs so they're about hip distance apart. From here, actively flex through your feet, and your arms can be out to the side or they can be alongside your hips. It's totally up to you, but you'll notice what happens if you can just draw the shoulder blades onto the back body and let the heart lift. So our breathing practice for today is very much focused on this. Well, you're going to let your body settle here for a moment, and then I'll shape your breath. But the breath that we start to shape will be the key action for every single pose that we take for today. And that'll help us find that extension, that length through the spine, while finding a sense of stability in our core, in our root. So as you're here now, I'd like you to breathe into your collarbones, wide into the upper ribs underneath your armpits, and then notice how wide you can extend your ribs out to the right and to the left. And then as you exhale, the pubic bone just starts to draw in and up slightly. And then every time you inhale, breathe into collarbones, into the upper ribs, into the back body and front body evenly. And as you exhale, the pubic bone draws in and then it draws up. So you feel that light toning at the base of the spine. And you'll just do this about 3 more times. So inhaling into collarbones, into armpits, widening through the rib cage, pressing into the back body as the front ribs come forward. And then exhale, drawing that space just above the pubic bone in and up, feeling that tone. This will be our key breath for everything that we do for today. So bring your hands alongside your hips if they are not. Make sure your feet are hip distance apart and actively flex through your feet. Now, as you inhale, reach your arms forward and up as you breathe into your armpits and your collarbones and your ribs. And as you exhale, hands swim back alongside your hips, point your toes and draw that pubic bone to your belly button to your spine. Awesome, and we'll do that about 5 times. So the hands reach forward to come up and overhead. Breathing into the chest first, flexing through your feet. And then exhale, hands retrace their pattern, point through the toes, draw the pubic bone in and up. And you've got 3 more sets on your own, and you're just working to slow down the breath so that you can really breathe into collarbones, into ribs, up into the upper extremities of the chest. And then exhale, you start at the base of your spine, curling all the way up. Awesome sauce. And you've got 2 more sets on your own, just working with your breath. Noticing that once the arms are up and overhead, you can reach out through those fingers and find a little bit more lift through the upper rib cage. And then exhaling, airplaning the arms back alongside your hips. Awesome sauce. This will be our last set. You'll inhale and reach your arms up and overhead. And once you get to the height of your capacity, go ahead and interlace both hands. Turn the heels of the hands to face away from you, and then reach the heels of the hands away from you. And we're going to take about 5 breath cycles here. This is the prep for Tadaka Mudra. So again, inhale into collarbones, into upper ribs, middle ribs, and then exhale, that space above the pubic bone draws in and up. And you'll feel this slight bit of toning happening at the base of your spine, and the feet stay flexed and the inner thighs rolled down. And you'll just take 2 to 3 more breath cycles here, really imagining that every inhalation creates space between each of the vertebrae of the spine and allows the discs to have a little bit more ease and equal compression on them. So we got 1 more breath cycle here. Big inhalation into upper chest, into ribs, out into ribs, and then exhale, space above pubic bone draws in and up. Nice work. Very gently, you'll release your hands alongside your hips. You'll bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. take a moment to just pause and notice whatever energetic shifts might have already happened, and we're going to add on to this. As you exhale, draw your knees in towards your chest, but keep your hands exactly as they are on the floor. Awesome sauce. As you inhale, the arms will reach up and overhead. The feet will extend up towards the sky, flexing through the feet. And then exhale, hug the knees back into the chest, arms alongside your hips on the floor. Great. You've got 4 more sets of those. So just as we did before, inhale, breathe into your collarbones, into your ribs, into the back body and the front body. And then exhale, pubic bone draws in and up, knees hug into chest, hands reach down to the floor. And you've got 3 more sets on your own, and you're working to elongate your breath. So all this happens at the same time. And all this happens at the same time. So what we're working on here is that this internal strength is, I think, what enables us to weather all life events. And it's something that, ironically enough, we can't necessarily force ourselves to do by making an external shape, but it is something that we can start to gravitate towards by aligning our inner experience. And so that's all we're doing right here, right now. I believe you have 1 more set. And then the next time your legs are up towards the sky and the arms are up and over your head, you'll go ahead and pause there. And we're going to take 5 breaths here. I want you to flex through your feet as much as you can. Your legs don't have to be straight, but they can be. Reach up through both of your arms actively, like you are really reaching out for the life you want, the life you aspire to have. And then as we take these last 3 breath cycles, the focus is always still on that breath. So you're breathing into the collarbones, into the ribs, out into the back body, out into the front body, and then exhale, pubic bone to belly button. And it's very interesting how in this shape, just doing this tiny little thing can be so vibrational, so sensational. So you're just breathing into the upper extremities of the body and noticing that that tight or that slight constriction of the pubic bone of the navel as you reach up through the heels really starts to tone and activate the core in a way that you might not have experienced. And so we'll take 1 more complete breath cycle here, flexing through your feet a lot, reaching up through your arms. And on your next exhalation, hug your knees into your chest. Bring your hand onto the tops of your shins and just hug in for a bit. And again, you're still breathing into the chest and the collarbones, the ribs first, and then breathing out from the navel first. Cool. If you're in motion, please come to stillness and then bring both hands to the inside edges of your thighs, grab the outside edges of your feet, draw your knees towards the floor, your feet up towards the sky for Ananda Balasana, happy baby. And I want you to just take a few moments to again breathe really, really conscientiously here. So can you continue to breathe into the collarbones and the ribs, and then notice that that widening of the rib cage helps widen the pelvic floor at the same time. So you might feel a little bit more sensation on the inner or the outer edges of your thighs, depending upon where you feel most tight. Awesome sauce. All right, go ahead and hug your knees towards each other. Extend your right arm alongside your ears. And then make your way over onto your hands and your knees. From here, you'll roll up to hands and knees. Nice job, guys. And then take a moment to pause. Some of you might wish to put your blocks to the upper outer corners of your mat. And if so, by all means, please go ahead and do that. And then you're going to find your way standing at the top of your mat. Okay, so I had mentioned this to a few of you ahead of time. We're going to do 5 sets of these, so this will give you the option to do both things. For many of you, I would encourage you to do 2 sets with 1 arm up and overhead, and then the 5th set with both arms up and overhead. You choose to do what works for you. But the thing I want us to pay attention to is when we go forward, we're going to keep our arms or arm up and overhead and come all the way down. And then when we come up, we're breathing into the collarbones to reach the arms forward to come up to that halfway lift before we fold all the way back down, before we come all the way back up. But the action is happening from our rib cage. So let's go ahead and start standing the top of our space. Feet are hip distance apart. And I'll cue the one arm version just to keep some of us on track. So you'll bring your right arm to the back of your pelvis, palm faces away from you. Left arm reaches up. Now take a big breath in here, breathing into ribs, into collarbones. And as you exhale, start to hinge at your hips, but that's starting from the pubic bone, drawing in and up. Bring the left hand forward and all the way down to the floor, bending your knees as much as you need to. And then you'll inhale, breathe into the collarbones, reach your left arm forward, come up halfway, knees as bent as they need to be. And then exhale, fold all the way back in. Nice job. Then inhale, reach the left fingers forward and up to come all the way up. And then exhale, lower your left hand alongside your left hip. We'll repeat that one more time. Inhale, swim your left arm up and overhead, breathing into the collarbones and ribs to do that. Exhale, hinge at the hips, drawing pubic bone to belly button, hugging it into the spine as you come all the way to the floor. Nice work. Inhale, breathe into collarbones to extend your left arm forward, parallel to the floor. And then exhale, pubic bone to belly button, scoop the belly to the spine, thighs towards your chest. Nice job. Inhale, come all the way up to vertical, breathing into collarbones to extend out through the left arm, left fingers. And then exhale, lower your left arm alongside your hips, switch arms. Inhale, swim your right arm forward and up, breathing into collarbones first. Exhale, pubic bone to belly button, hinging at your hips. Knees can be bent if they need to be, no worries. And then you'll inhale, breathe into the collarbones to reach your right fingertips forward to come up halfway. And then you'll exhale, scoop the pubic bone to the belly button to fold all the way back in. Nice job. And then inhale, breathe into collarbones, reach out through right fingers, bring your spine all the way up to vertical. And then exhale, lower the right hands down. So you'll do that one more set on your own. And the priority here is keeping the spine super long. So a lot of times we feel very crunched in our low back. We feel crunched in our life because in some way we've lost the alignment to stay integrated with our natural curves, with our natural way of being. And we try to force things that don't need to be forced. And then once you're back to vertical, once again, you have the option to do it with both hands and just see how that goes. So you'll inhale, sweep both arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge at your hips, fingers reach forward, pubic bone draws in, come all the way down. And then inhale, breathe into the collarbones, reach out through the fingers to lift your spine halfway. And then exhale, scoop the belly, fold all the way in. Nice job. Inhale, reach forward to come all the way up. And then exhale, lower your hands alongside your hips. Take a moment to pause. So Tadasana is considered an extension pose according to my teacher. So again, you want to breathe into the collarbones, into the ribs. Exhale, pubic bone to belly button, feeling that coming in and up. And you just got one more breath cycle like that. These types of poses, ironically enough, are the most simple, but they're also the most subtle. So that gives them the potential to reveal the most to us. Awesome sauce. All right, let's add on. Inhale, swim your arms forward to come up. And as you exhale, pubic bone to belly button, hinge at your hips, come all the way forward and down. Once your fingers touch the floor, bend your knees and step your feet back to lower your knees down towards the mat. Now we're not going to stay here, but if you need to, you can put a blanket underneath your knees, but we're going to move in and out of downward facing dog and tabletops. So inhale here, breathing into collarbones, into armpits. Exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. As you inhale, you'll shift your weight forward, breathing into the ribs, into the collarbones, lower the knees down. And then exhale, scooping the pubic bone and belly button under, lifting the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And you'll just do 2 more sets like that, really paying attention to how this breath is moving here. And some of you will continue for these last 2 sets to move this way. Some of you will move back to downward dog after the exhalation, so your belly is empty. And that helps you find the beginning of Uddiyana Bandha. So you'll inhale in tabletop. You'll exhale in the tabletop, and you'll shift your hips up and back to downward facing dog on empty. And then when you need to, you'll breathe in and come back to hands and knees. And now Uddiyana Bandha is really this inner upward lift, and you've got about 2 more sets on your own. So if you're working with Uddiyana Bandha, go ahead and take it these last 2 times. And you're just noticing what that does for you once you find yourself there. Awesome sauce. This next time you're in downward facing dog, go ahead and stay there. Nice work. Now from down dog, push down and forward into the L shape of your hands. Imagine you can hug those parts together, finding that isometric engagement, and then suck your hands back towards your feet, lift your hips a little higher. Now that same breath cycle that we've been working on, I want you to breathe into your collarbones, into your ribs, and then at the exhale, draw the pubic bone to the belly button, emptying the spine. And you've just got 2 more like that, inhaling into collarbones, into upper ribs, into back body, front body. Exhaling just above the pubic bone, in and up, toning that base of our spine, that root of our spine. Nice job, guys. Okay, let's add on. Inhale, lift your left leg up and back. And as you exhale, quietly step your left foot between your hands. Step your right foot over just a bit and spin the foot down for Virva 2, and then come up for Warrior 2. Now take a moment to adjust your feet as you need to find your stability. This internal alignment is really what we're doing to find our core stability. And then you'll bend into your front leg, your left leg. I want you to turn your palms to face up towards the sky and soften the shoulder blades down the back. Now we're going to stay here for about 5 breath cycles, but I want you to come back to your breath. So inhaling into collarbones, into ribs, extending out through your fingers, and then exhaling, noticing that you can draw the pubic bone to the belly button, slightly rotate your belly to the right. And you've got 3 more breath cycles. There you go, Sandy. 3 breath cycles just like that. Inhaling into collarbones, out into ribs, out into fingers. And then exhaling, pubic bone to belly button, navel slightly pulls to the right. And you've got 2 more like this. So our hands are often said to be an extension of the heart. And this breath is helping us experience how that might be true in this moment. How can we start from the space of our open-heartedness in order to find stability, both for ourselves as well as for the communities and the people that we love and that we serve. You've got 1 more breath cycle here, just really paying attention to the subtle actions of the breath. And on your next exhalation, go ahead and straighten that front leg long. Keep your arms as they are. Yay, I know, ballet training 101. Inhale, reach out through your left arm. And then exhale, pull back through your right arm. We got 4 of these. This is fun little lateral side body stuff. So you'll inhale, reach forward, and exhale, pull spine back up to vertical. And then you got 3 more. Inhaling, reaching out through your left arm. Exhaling, coming back up to vertical. And last time, inhale, reaching out. Exhale, coming back up. This one will stay. So inhale, reach out through your left arm. As you exhale, lower your left arm down to your left shin block or floor. Turn your right shoulder up towards the sky. Palm might face up. And then you'll sweep your right arm up to the sky or up and over your ears, whatever feels best to you. But you've got 3 breath cycles here. And again, we're paying attention to where the breath is. If your arms are clocked to 12 and noon or 12 and 6, again, keep breathing into your armpits, into the collarbones, out through the extremities of your body. And as you exhale, the pubic bone draws in and up, the belly starts to rotate slightly to the right. If the arm is alongside your ears, you're still breathing into the collarbones, out into the ribs, out into the front body and the back body, and then exhaling pubic bone to belly button. Nice job. You got 1 more breath cycle here. As you're ready, swim that right arm up and over your head. Come to a low lunge facing the top of your space. Awesome sauce. From here, rotate to your right so both of your feet are parallel to the long edge of your mat. Bring both hands underneath your face. If you need a block underneath your face to make that a little bit more accessible, by all means, please do that. So we're facing the right edge of our mat. Inhale, lift your spine halfway. And as you exhale, keep your left hand underneath your face. Inhale, swim your right arm up towards the sky. Awesome sauce. As you exhale, swim your right arm alongside your ears, up and over your head. Oh, yep. And inhale, reach the arm back up towards the sky. And you've got about 4 of those. So you're just noticing what happens as you move in and out. So Jenny, turn your feet so they're parallel to the short edge of your mat. Walk your hands so they're underneath your face. There you go. And then the next time your right arm is up towards the sky, we're gonna pause here. So right arm reaches up, left arm pushes down. You bend your knees as much as you need to in order to keep your spine parallel to the floor. Yeah, there you go, Roberta. Now take a big breath in here. Inhale, breathe into your collarbones, into your shoulder blades. And as you exhale, pull your belly in and rotate just your rib cage towards the right. Inhale, breathe into the spine, into the collarbones. Exhale, pubic bone to belly button, rib cage rotates to the right. One more time, inhale into collarbones, and then exhale, pubic bone draws into spine. Gently release your right hand to the floor. Take a moment to pause in Prasarita Padottanasana and just notice what you notice between the right and the left side. And then we'll go ahead and try all that on the other side. So plant your right hand underneath you. Inhale, swim your left arm up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, let that left arm travel up and over your ears. And inhale, come back up. Awesome. And exhale over the head. You've got a few more times and you're just noticing what you notice here. Moving in and out using the breath. And our spine ideally is as parallel to the floor as possible. So you bend your knees as much as you need to. Awesome sauce. And you should have one more set. The next time your left arm is up to the sky, you'll pause. Bend your knees as much as you need to. So priority is spine parallel to the floor. And then you'll inhale, breathe into collarbones, into ribs, out through your arms. Exhale, pubic bone to belly button. Abdomen rotates towards the left. And you just got a few more breath cycles like that. And you might notice that the more you push down into your right hand as you breathe in, it gives you more space to elongate through the vertebra. And we're allowing this to happen from the inside out. Last breath cycle here. On your next exhalation, lower your left hand to the floor. Turn to face the top of your space, low lunge. And then step back, downward facing dog. Just pause. Notice what you notice between the right and the left side. Again, we're breathing into collarbones, into ribs, and then exhaling from the space above the pubic bone into the navel. Awesome sauce. Let's go ahead and try the other side. Inhale, lift your right leg up and back. And as you exhale, quietly step your right foot between your hands. Spin your left foot down for Warrior 2 and come up for Virabhadrasana 2. And then notice how you can adjust on this side. What changes need to be made? So ideally, our left inner thigh is slightly internally rotated as our right thigh is externally rotated. So the right knee is pointing over the center of the right foot, and that left thigh might be turned in a little bit. Our hips don't need to be parallel to the short edge of the mat. Just let the body go where the body needs to go. And then turn your palms to face up. Soften the shoulder blades down and away from the ears. And then you've got about 3 breath cycles here. So continue to bend into your front knee. Yep. And then continue to breathe into the collarbones, into the upper ribs, into the back ribs, into the front ribs. And then exhale, space above the pubic bone draws in and up. Belly starts to rotate just a bit to the left. And it's happening from the internal landscape. So oftentimes I've found that this image that comes up for me is that I often try to fortify myself on the outside. I try to armor up, in the words of Michael Singer or Brene Brown. And what really needs to happen is I need to just fortify from the inside, noticing how I can find that internal alignment, that internal strength, so that everything else can just sort of fall by the wayside. You got one more breath cycle here. And on your next exhalation, go ahead and straighten your front leg long. Nice work. Now inhale, reach forward through your right hand. And then exhale, reach back through your left. And you've got 4 of these. And this is just getting our lateral side body so it can be strong and stable. And you're noticing what you notice here. How do you have to orient to keep yourself in alignment with your goals, with your values, with your ways of being? There's always a push and pull, tug of war in life. The next time you reach forward through that right hand, you'll exhale and lower the right hand to the shin, block, or floor. And then you can either have your left arm clocked up to noon, or you can extend the left arm alongside your ears, reaching for, 3 o'clock, depending upon how you're perceiving your clock. And then you've got about 3 breath cycles here. Noticing again, breathing into the collarbones, into the ribs, into the back body and the front body. And then exhaling pubic bone to belly button, slightly rotating abdomen towards the left. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. Front leg is straight, Barbara. We're working for a weird triangle pose. There you go. And you pause and you breathe. The next inhalation, go ahead and gaze towards your front foot, reach your left arm over your head, and then exhale, come to a low lunge, top of your space. Now turn to face the left side of your mat, so both of your feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat, so same thing, different side. Now, if you have very open hamstrings, please walk your feet closer towards each other. If your hamstrings are not so open, you can keep them probably as they are. What we're going to do here is everyone bend your knees and lift your spine parallel to the floor. Awesome sauce. Check in with your low back. If your low back is okay, you'll extend your arms out to the right and to the left like happy little wings. Otherwise, your hands might come to your hips. Great. Take a big breath in here. As you exhale, fold all the way in, pubic bone to belly button, head comes down, hands might touch ankles or floor. And then inhale, halfway lift, coming all the way up to vertical, keeping the spine parallel, arms out or on your hips. And then exhale, fold all the way back in. So same action we did in Uttanasana, but now we're just in this wide position. So inhale, halfway lift, spine parallel to the floor. Exhale, pubic bone to belly button, fold all the way in. And then inhale, come through a flat back all the way up to vertical. So bend your knees as much as you need to. And then exhale, fold all the way back in. Now you've got 2 more sets on your own, and I want you to notice if you can keep the spine long so your head stays in line with your shoulders stay in line with your hips. In weight training, this is kind of more like a deadlift. So we're just seeing if we can keep the spine long. You bend the knees as much as you need to keep the vertebra intact. Yep, and you got about 1 more set, reaching into the collarbones to lift you up. The more that you can breathe into that upper space, it really does help lift and help this support or help support the legs in this shape. And then the next time you're folded forward in Prasarita Padottanasana, you'll just pause and you'll breathe. Nice work, guys. From here, turn to face the top of your space, low lunge. Step back down dog and lower your knees to the mat. Come to a embryo type pose. So knees, ankles, shins together. Push your bum back towards your heels, and your arms can either be in front of you or they can be back alongside your hips, but you're going to take a moment to pause and you're going to take a moment to breathe. And then we'll do a little bit of a side body stretch before we add on. So some of you, if your hands are back behind you, will need to extend your arms forward so they're in that prasad position. Both arms are in front of you. And then lift your head just enough to walk your hands over to the right. And then you can lower your head back down. I want you to claw the mat isometrically with your left hand. And you're going to push down into the left hand and drag back with the left finger. So you're integrating the left arm into the left shoulder joint. And then breathe into the left side body, breathe into the left hip. You might need to lift your right rib cage up a little bit to rotate your left rib cage down to the floor a little bit more. And then you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing that fun little stretch that's happening on the lateral side of your left rib cage. Next in-breath, you'll lift the gaze and you'll walk your hands all the way over to the other side. And again, claw the mat, the floor with your right hand, isometrically push down and draw back with that right hand as you bow the right ribs over to the right, draw the outer right hip back. And you'll just take 1 to 2 more breath cycles here. And the next in-breath, lift your gaze, come back through center. And then go ahead and come to hands and knees and then stand on top of your shin bones. Cool. Now, I highly encourage you to pad your knees with the blanket. You might not do that. It's totally up to you. You've got a couple options here. So we're going to do that same thing that we've been working on this whole time. This time, though, as you come forward, you're going to keep scooping pubic bone to belly button to spine. See if you can hinge at the hips to lower your hands and your head and your thighs all to the floor at the same time. If you look at me and say, Jessica, that's never going to happen, that's okay. We've got the second option. The second option is to swim your arms out to the right and to the left and see if everything can contact at the same time. And then they reach out and up and come back and up and overhead. And we'll just do that about 5 times. And again, your breath is leading the way, and the breath is always starting in the collarbones for today, and it's then going to the ribs, and then it's emptying from the pubic bone and up. So when you're ready, if you haven't started already, go ahead and do 5 sets, and you're working to slow down the breath. Yeah. And you're trying to get your belly and your heart and your head to all touch at the same time. So whether the arms swim back or whether the arms stay up and overhead the whole time doesn't matter, but you're trying to coordinate those 2 things at the same time. And you're just following your breath, exhaling down and inhaling up. The next time you're forward in that embryo type shape, you'll go ahead and stay there. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe. And you'll just notice what you notice here in this shape. Awesome sauce. All right, go ahead and come up to hands and knees and then flip yourselves onto your backs. And once you make your way onto your back, some of you might want a block between your inner upper thighs. Some of you will be completely fine with none of that. It's totally up to you. I am going to encourage today just to help build our awareness of what's happening in the right and the left side of the body and to help with any asymmetries or imbalances that might exist there. For us to do one arm, but you can do both. I will cue one arm, but you can do both. So bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. Make sure your arms are alongside your hips. And then as you inhale, lift your right arm, lift your hips. So right arm goes up and overhead, hips lift into a bridge pose. And as you exhale, the right arm comes down and the hips come back down. Awesome sauce. And you'll do that again. So inhaling, pushing through the feet, lifting the hips, lifting the right arm up. And then exhaling, lowering the right arm down, lowering the hips down. Awesome sauce. And then left side, inhale, pushing through the feet, lifting the hips, lifting the left arm. And then exhaling, lowering the hips and lowering the left arm. And you got one more set just like that. And you're just noticing if you can lower the ribs and the hips at the same time, even though one arm is lifting and doing something asymmetrical. Awesome sauce. And then you'll go ahead and do both arms. Inhaling, pushing through the feet, dynamic bridges, the arms reaching up and overhead. And then exhaling, hands coming down and hips coming down. Awesome sauce. Once you're down this time, we're going to go ahead and stay there with both hands alongside your hips. From here, you'll start to just walk your right shoulder up towards your right ear, tuck it under a little bit, left shoulder up to the left ear, tuck it under a little bit. Inhale, push through your feet, lift your hips high. You might walk the shoulder blades even closer together in order to interlace the hands or grab the outer edges of your mat. Now we're going to pause here. We'll do all the things that you guys know how to do. So you're going to push through your feet and lift your hips. You're going to happily hug that block if you're using it into the midline. And then we're staying with that breath thing. So inhale into the collarbones, into the ribs, into the back of the heart and the front of the heart. And exhale, pubic bone to belly button to spine. And you've just got about 4 more breath cycles here. We're really trying to harness or capture the energy. So what you're naturally doing, many of you, well, all of you actually, is doing Jalandhara Bandha. Jaladhara just literally means to catch. So we're trying to catch all that energy in our heart so that our hearts can stay open, so our spines can stay long, so that we can remain aware of all the things that are happening and receptive and responsive to them without needing to crunch in. So you've got 2 more breath cycles here. Again, you're breathing into the collarbones. You're pushing down into the center of your skull so your nose probably points straight up, eyes straight up. And at the end of your next exhalation, unclasp your hands, untuck your shoulders, bring your pelvis to the floor and pause. Do not do anything, just pause. Notice what you notice. Body is still. Notice the energy that now might be moving around in your space, in your being, and just take a moment to witness that, experience that, be with that. Awesome sauce. Okay, if you still got that block, please go ahead and say bye-bye. And then you're going to flip over onto your belly. Bye-bye. Now, once you find yourself on your belly, plant your hands alongside your rib cage. Now, Sandy told me that I should not say lowest rib on the front because my torso is a lot shorter than yours. So make sure your hands are right alongside your ribs so that it feels like it's not too far back, but it's enough to get into cobra. My proportions are slightly different than yours. So find the spot that works for you. And then separate your feet about hip distance apart. Press down into the tops of your feet, press down into the pubic bone. And again, we're going to just take a moment to find that breath here first. So inhaling into the collarbones, into the ribs. As you exhale, the pubic bone draws to the belly button and up. And then you got one more just like that, inhaling into the collarbones, into the ribs, front body, back body, and then exhaling, drawing that low space in and up. This next time as you inhale, you'll isometrically pull the hands back to pull the heart forward and lift up into your baby cobra. As you exhale, you're going to stay there, reinvestigate the pubic bone of the navel, pulling it in and up. As you inhale, pull back with the hands to lift the heart a little higher, breathing into the collarbones, into the ribs, and then exhale, lower all the way down to the floor. And we'll do that about 2 to 3 more times. So inhale, isometrically pull the hands back to pull the heart forward. As you exhale, space above the pubic bone draws in and up. As you inhale, breathe into those collarbones, lift up through the chest, maybe push down through the hands, and then exhale, lower all the way down. And as we take these last 2 sets, you can come as high up into this position as you want, but you're using the breath to start to open the heart. So we're not forcing ourselves into anything, but we're allowing the heart to open us up. We're allowing the breath to open us up. And we're keeping this foundation in our core, in our root chakra, our second chakra, our third chakra. That's what we're doing with that navel drawing in and up, so that we can go ahead and keep that stability there. Awesome sauce. This next time you come up into Bhujangasana Cobra, whatever height you've got going on, you're going to stay there for about 4 breath cycles. And again, you're pushing into the tops of the feet. You're inhaling into those collarbones, into those ribs. If you're in Bhujangasana, the arms are slightly bent, elbows are hugging back, and you're breathing into the collarbones, into the ribs, into the back body, the front body. And every exhalation is drawing that space above the pubic bone in and up. And at the end of your next exhalation, you will slowly lower down, bring an ear to the mat, and notice all that fun stuff that's happening in your body. Arms alongside your hips, just pause and breathe and relax and notice. It's one of those things that some of the best dancers I've ever known have not done a crap ton of core work. Most of them don't do core work at all, but they can have this internal strength that comes from really knowing where they are always in space, in relationship, in time. And I think it comes from having access to what we're trying to get at, which is your Sushumna Nadi. Go ahead and bring the other ear to the mat. The Sushumna Nadi is the central energy pathway that a lot of yogis were able to experience through their meditation. It's this central channel that, once you have access to it, allows everything in life to start to flow and unfold as it needs to, with the least amount of resistance possible. So I personally like that idea quite a bit. All right, bring your forehead back to the mat. Slowly bring yourselves up to sit. I know we're not done just yet. We got a few more things. Are you guys doing okay? I'm just like sitting over here looking at you, watching you do stuff, and you're like, okay, all right. So we're going to do Dandasana into Mahamudra. I hate this pose, but it's so good for you. So that's a preamble to that. If you need a blanket, please go ahead and put that underneath your sit bones, and it's literally just on the edge. Another thing to note is if your hamstrings are really tight, bend your knees. The priority here is really keeping our spine straight. With extension poses, the pose unfolds the longer that we stay in it and the more that we conscientiously work with the breath, which is why we're doing these things. But your legs can be straight or they can be bent. And even if you feel like, Jessica, I'm pretty flexible, I want you to keep a slight bend in the back of your knees just so that the work is coming into our low back and finding the strength there. So that being said, let's go ahead and flex through your feet, and then you'll inhale and reach your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, hinge from the top of your hips, coming forward, bringing hands to the floor or to your feet. Grab whatever you're holding, and then inhale, lengthen your spine as much as you can, breathing into the collarbones, into the ribs, the armpits. Exhaling, drawing your space above the pubic bone in and up and keeping the spine long, shoulders away from your ears. One more breath cycle here into collarbones, into ribs, finding length through the vertebra, through the crown of the head. And then exhale, scooping the space above the pubic bone in and up. Next inhalation, see if you can find a little bit more space. And then as you exhale, you can fold all the way in into Paschimottanasana, saying hello, reprieve. As you inhale, reach out through the arms, just like we did, and come all the way back up to vertical. And then exhale, lower the hands alongside your hips. So we're going to do that about 2 more times. So inhale, swim the arms out, breathing into collarbones, into the ribs, lifting the vertebra up from the pelvis. Exhale, hinge at the hips, drawing the space above the pubic bone in and up. Grab your feet or the floor and inhale, lengthen your spine as long as it'll go, one long spine. So you can be really far away from your thighs. And then exhale, scooping pubic bone to belly button into spine. And you got 2 more breath cycles like this. So your spine is not rounded at all. Your head is pretty lifted high. Yep. And you're in this weird, awkward shape. On your next exhalation, you'll scoop the belly and fold all the way in towards your thighs, more like Paschimottanasana. And then inhale, reach out through the fingers and come all the way up. And exhale, lower your arms alongside your hips. Take a moment to pause and just watch. So Paschimottanasana is I'm really rounded in. Mahamudra is the shape in between. So my spine has to stay straight and strong. So if I'm rounded at all, I want you to come out of it just a little bit and bend your knees. It's more important that the spine stays straight than you get towards your thighs. Does that make sense? Let's go ahead and try that one more time. Okay, all right, so sitting in Dandasana, inhale, reach up through both of your arms. As you exhale, start to hinge at your hips, and your knees are probably pretty bent or slightly bent. Grab a hold of your feet or onto the floor, and then inhale, make your spine as long as it can be, nice little diagonal. Slightly tuck your chin to your chest. Flex through those feet even more. And we're going to stay here for 4 breath cycles. So again, you inhale, breathe into the collarbones, into your ribs, into the back body and the front body. And then you exhale from the pubic bone in and up. Nice job. And you got 4 more breath cycles just like that. And you'll notice that once you're in this shape, keeping the spine long and strong like this is really challenging. And what we're starting to do is starting to aliven the Sushumna Nadi. That's the whole purpose of this. So you might find a lot of heat starting to build in your low back. That's great. That means it's building or breaking up what's called tamasic energy. It's our sense of inertia. And you're starting to build an inner radiance, an inner lift. On your next exhalation, you'll fold all the way into Paschimottanasana and take a moment to rest. And then you'll inhale, reach out through the fingers, come back up to sit. And then exhale, lower your hands alongside your hips for Dandasana. And we'll just take 3 breath cycles here. And again, you're breathing into the collarbones, into the ribs. And then exhale, base of spine comes in and up. And you're just noticing this energy here, hugging shoulder blades onto back body, just letting yourself be where you are. From here, mindfully make your way onto your backs and just take a moment to land. Literally just, if we found some of the energy moving through Mahamudra, it's a very subtle shape. But if you found it, you might find a lot of stuff moving around inside of you. And so you'll just take a moment to pause and you'll take a moment to breathe. From here, let's go ahead and cactus your arms out to the right and to the left, little goalpost shapes. Bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. Make sure your feet are at least hip distance apart, if not outer hip distance apart. And then slowly allow the legs to fall over to one of your sides. You might go to the right, you might go to the left. It's totally whatever feels best to you. And you'll take about 3 to 5 breath cycles here. And the same breath that we've been working with the whole practice is applying here, but it's a lot more subtle. So you're still breathing into the collarbones, into the ribs, and then you're exhaling from the base of the spine and drawing that energy up. You've got 1 more breath cycle here. And on your next in-breath, you'll come back through center and allow the legs to fall towards the other side. And the feet are at least hip distance, if not outer hip distance apart, for just a gentle supine twist. And then we're again noticing the energy moving as we breathe into the upper part of the chest. So these breath patterns that we've been working with, one of them, well, 2 of them. The first one is called prana, or prawn as some people call it, and that's into the upper heart and the chest. And the other one is called apana, and that's what we're doing down in the pelvis. But what we've been doing is we've been allowing pran is the upward expansive energy that allows us in many instances to take in information. Next in-breath, go ahead and come back through center. And apana allows us to let go of things. So when we're in balance, when we're in our core, we can take things in, but we can also let things go. So cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh, actively flex through your feet, and keep your arms on the floor for a moment as you draw your configuration of legs towards your chest. Keep pressing that right ankle against the left thigh, left knee into that right ankle. You might choose to stay here or thread your hands through the hole and grab the back of your left thigh, front of your left shin. But again, keep pushing that left knee into the right ankle into the left knee. And then again, notice if you can still breathe into the collarbones, into the rib cage. And then if you can exhale from the base of the spine all the way up. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll release the clasp of the hands and bring that left foot to the floor, and then release the right foot next to it. Cross your left ankle over, cactus the arms back out to the right and to the left, and then draw the configuration of your legs towards you and actively flexing through that left foot, pushing left ankle against right knee into left ankle, and you might stay there in this Adasku stretch, or you might thread your hands through the hole, grab the back of the right thigh or the front of the right shin for Sukhi Randrasana figure 4. But again, you're pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. And then very mindfully, gently release the hands if they're there. Release the right foot to the floor. Release the left foot to meet its mate. And then just pause. Draw both knees back into your chest. Bring your hands through the inside edges of your thighs to grab the outside edges of your feet. Option 1 is to just push the soles of the feet into each other and take the Supta Baddha Konasana position. You can push the elbows into the tops of the knees, the shin bones, the thighs. You can also open your knees out for happy baby. You can also extend one leg or then the other, but I want you to notice how this shape feels now in comparison to the very first time we did it if you're in happy baby. And again, you're going to breathe into the collarbones, into the ribs, seeing how that can help open and widen the pelvic floor. And then you'll exhale from the base of the spine, drawing that energy in and up. Awesome sauce. When you are ready, you'll hug the knees back into the chest. And you'll release your legs long into the floor or into Supta Baddha Konasana, or whatever shape you'd like to take for today for your final resting shape. Oh my God, I love that Mammy. Her dog or cat is the bolster. That's amazing. And once you find yourself here, really set yourself up well. Allow the shoulder blades to walk underneath you so the heart can remain open. And I want you to just first make contact with the floor and notice what you notice. See if the arms feel capable of just being out to the right and to the left, or if it feels more comfortable to have them on the body. Either is okay. And then the first thing that we're going to do here is, as the body settles into the floor, I want you to bring your awareness to what my teacher calls the mouth of the river. And what he means when he says this is, I want you to bring your awareness to the base of your spine. And as your awareness comes to the base of your spine, I want you to I invite you to pay attention to the energy that's naturally alive and alert and awake there. And just watch, notice, trace, experience this energy as it travels up the spine. So you're noticing your own energy, your Shakti, your Kundalini, as they call it. It's at the very base of the spine. And as it travels all the way up to the crown of your head. And you're just noticing. It is said that this Kundalini energy, this Kundalini Shakti, is part of our own unique spark for being. And that when it is not awake, but when we are attuned to it, we have the capacity to live our most vibrant lives. And so, for the next few moments, you'll just trace the energy from the base of the spine up towards the crown of the head, allowing it to unfold in whatever way it does or doesn't at this moment in time. Begin to draw your awareness back to the abdomen. And if the energy has extended above the crown, you just gently draw it back to the abdomen. As you come back to your abdomen, just take a moment to check in and notice what you notice. If there's any part of you that longs to linger here for a few more moments or a few more breaths, by all means, please stay here. Otherwise, start to invite small movement into your physical form. That small movement might gradually become bigger as you yawn and stretch the body. And then as you feel ready, make your way to your right side and pause. From here, slowly roll yourself up and come to a tall, comfortable seat. And then when you're vertical, I do encourage you to sit yourselves up really well. So maybe on a block, maybe on a blanket. You'll take a moment to set and fidget if you need to. And what we're going to do today, just to wrap ourselves up briefly, is we're going to say a series of ohms inside of our head. But we want to pay attention to the different parts of Om. So there's the A sound, there's the U sound, and there's the M sound. And since we've been working with our breath going up and down our spine, we're going to try to focus our energy on each sound in particular parts of the body. So the A sound will be from the base of the spine to the middle of your navel. The U sound will be from the middle of your navel up to the throat. And the M sound will be from the throat to the crown of your head. And what it's said to do, mantra, externally, is it helps shape your conscious mind, but internally repeating it helps shape your unconscious mind so that we can remember to have that internal strength. So go ahead and sit however you'd like so that the heart can remain open. The head is stacked over the shoulders are stacked over the hips. And you'll just gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. And then you'll inhale into the collarbones and into the ribs. And then as you exhale, you start to internally chant A or O. And you'll just repeat that a few more times on your own. So you'll inhale, breathe into the collarbones and into the ribs. And as you exhale, it's the Om. And you'll repeat. And we're ideally trying to spend a bit more time in the U state and the M state as we pause and we breathe and we internally chant. The end of your next exhalation, you'll just simply let go of the internal chanting. And then notice where your energy naturally resides. Does it reside in the third eye center? Is it in the heart? Or is it near the abdomen? And you'll just take a few breaths to be where you are, being with wherever you are. We try to spend time like this because it's said that our body represents our past, our breath represents our present, and our mind represents our future. So, by really paying attention to where we are physically, to where the breath is, to where the mind is, we can not only start to heal some of the past, we can start to be more conscientious about the present, but we can also start to shape our future. So, with that being said, I'd like you to draw your hands to heart center and just set an intention for you of what it is that you're hoping to cultivate in your life and how you have the tools naturally available to you through the power of your breath to consciously shape what's happening in this moment, and then through the power of the breath to shape what happens in the future, as well as to resolve anything from the past. So, with that being said, the light within me honors and salutes the light, the breath within each of you. Namaste.